The more you try to forget someone, the more you remember them. Not because you're weak, not because you haven't tried hard enough, but because your brain is doing exactly what it was programmed to do. And it's working against you in a way you've never realized. And once you understand this mechanism, you'll never look at memory the same way again. Think back to the last time you tried not to think about someone. Maybe it was an ex. Maybe it was a friend you lost touch with. Maybe it was someone who hurt you, and you just wanted to erase them from your mind. You told yourself, stop thinking about them. Delete the photos, unfollow, stay busy, go out more, play music loud, work until you're exhausted. But when the night came, they appeared again. Why? In 1987, an American psychologist named Daniel Wegner conducted a simple experiment that completely changed how we understand the human mind. He asked volunteers to do one thing. For the next 5 minutes, don't think about a white bear. The result? Nobody could do it. And what was even stranger, the people who tried hardest not to think about the white bear actually thought about it more than those who were given no instructions at all. Wegner called this ironic process theory. It sounds abstract, but let me explain it in a way that's closer to home. When you tell your brain, don't think about that person, your brain actually has to do two things at once. One part of the brain tries to find other things to think about, to replace, to fill the empty space. But at the same time, another part of the brain has to keep checking. Am I thinking about them? Not yet. Good. Still not. Good. And that very part doing the checking keeps activating the memory of the person you're trying to forget. It's like asking someone to guard a door and saying, don't let the elephant in. The guard has to know what an elephant looks like. And every time they check, they picture an elephant in their mind. The tighter you try to control it, the more the elephant keeps showing up. But here's the part you didn't know. It's not just about thought suppression. There's a deeper reason, rooted in how the brain processes things that feel unfinished. In the 1920s, a Russian psychologist named Zeigarnik accidentally discovered this while sitting in a cafe in Vienna. She noticed that waiters could remember every item from orders that hadn't been paid yet. But once an order was complete, they forgot it almost immediately. The human brain tends to hold on to things that haven't ended. Open loops, stories without a conclusion. This is known as the Zeigarnik Effect. And the person you're trying to forget? They are an open loop in your mind that hasn't been closed yet. Think back to that relationship. Maybe it ended without explanation. Maybe there were things you wanted to say but never got the chance. Maybe you still don't understand why everything fell apart the way it did. And your brain, like a book folded shut halfway through, can't stop wanting to turn to the last page. Not necessarily because you still love them, but because the human mind cannot tolerate unfinished stories. This is why you can quickly move on from relationships that ended clearly and honestly, but carry for years the ones that ended vaguely, wordlessly, without reason. But wait, there's one more layer, and it goes even deeper. Here's a question most people never dare to ask themselves. Are you actually missing that person? Or are you missing the feeling they once gave you? Research in cognitive psychology shows that human memory is not an accurate recording. Every time you remember someone, your brain doesn't play back the original footage. It reconstructs the memory, and in doing so, it adds color, blurs the painful parts, and highlights what you want to keep. Which means, the person living in your head may no longer be the real person. It's an edited version, filtered through your emotions, kept alive for a reason you haven't fully understood yet. You're not missing them. You're missing the feeling of being loved, of being seen, of belonging to someone. And that feeling, you haven't found it anywhere else yet. This is where things get really interesting. If the problem isn't that person, but the feeling, then the question is no longer, how do I forget them? The question becomes, what is it about that feeling I'm not ready to let go of? Roy Baumeister, a psychologist at the University of Queensland, spent decades researching the human need to belong. He found that the need to connect with others isn't just a simple emotion. It's a basic biological need, closer to hunger or sleep than to a passing feeling. When a deep connection is severed, the brain responds much like it does to hunger. It keeps searching. It keeps reminding you. It keeps pulling your attention back to what's missing, and you interpret that signal as, I still miss that person. But really, your brain is saying, I need connection. I need to feel like I belong. And this is the closest thing I still remember. So what do? The answer is not to try harder, not to have stronger willpower, not to stay busier to fill the time. Those things don't heal, they only delay. The first step, and the hardest, is to stop fighting the memory. Wegner, after years of studying suppression, found that the only way to reduce the power of an unwanted thought is to allow it to exist without reacting to it, not welcoming it, not drowning in it, just letting it be there, observing it, and not acting on it. In psychology, this is called diffusion, separating yourself from the thought. Recognizing that thinking about someone doesn't mean you have to do anything with that thought. The second thing, and this is the most important, is to close the loop on your own terms. The Zeigarnik Effect works because the story has no ending. But you don't need the other person to close that story. You can write your own ending. In a journal, in a letter you never send, in a quiet conversation with yourself. Not to forgive them. Not to pretend everything is fine. But to give your brain the signal it needs. This story has been read to the last page. The loop is closed. You can put the book down. And the final thing, perhaps the most profound. Instead of asking, how do I forget that person? Ask, what part of me still needs to heal? Because the person you're remembering may have been gone for a long time. But the need they once met, the need to be loved, to be seen, to be accepted, that need is still there, still waiting. And when you begin to meet that need in other ways, ways that don't depend on one single person, the memory of them won't disappear completely, but it will lose its pull. Do you remember the question from the beginning? Why does the more you try to forget someone, the more you remember them? Now you know the answer. Not because you're weak, not because you haven't tried hard enough, but because your brain is doing exactly what it's supposed to do, holding on to what feels unfinished, searching for what's missing, and protecting the connections it believes matter. Maybe what you need isn't to learn how to forget them. Maybe it's to understand why your brain is still holding on. And what that says about you, about your needs, about the journey you're still on. Memory isn't the enemy. It's a signal. And when you learn to listen to that signal, it will no longer have the power to control you.